y'all talk. See my kicks when I see y'all walk. Flex on me, y'all ain't strong. Say my name, that's Sam Law. Still on top, yeah, it's been that long. They won't know till I say I'm gone. They won't know, say my name. Hey everyone, and welcome to the That Sam Law Show. And I'm your host, Sam Law. Today's guest is one that I think is really unique. He's been in the nursing field. Yes, I said he's been in the nursing field for over 30 years. 30 years experience as a healthcare professional. And one of his key specialties is midwifery. And what I found super unique about him is that he actually wrote a book called Prenatal Possibilities, where he has so many recipes for moms to be and for your postpartum care. And what I love about that is that I'm actually pregnant right now. I'm 6 months. I think I might have revealed that in some other episodes, but I'm 6 months pregnant, so I was really excited to bring him on and discuss these recipes. And I even tried one the night before he got here. So I'm excited to welcome Paul Quinn to the show. Dr. Paul Quinn to the show. He recently got his PhD. So, Dr. Paul Quinn, tell my audience about yourself, who you are and where you're from.
Right, well, thanks, Sam. It's great to be here. So like you mentioned, I'm a nurse. I've been a registered nurse for 32 years now. I started right out of high school, so I was lucky. I went to a hospital-based nursing program in New York City, and I went into nursing hoping to go into obstetrics, but 30 years ago, it wasn't a place for male nurses to go, and it wasn't a field that was really encouraged for us. So I had to kind of go the back route, and I went in the other way, the way most nurses do. So I went through critical care, I worked in the emergency room, then finally got into obstetrics, and then went into midwifery school. And actually, I was trained locally. I started at SUNY Stony Brook.
Hey, Seawolf.
And then went to SUNY downstate in Brooklyn. So my training was in the Bronx and Brooklyn and Manhattan, and it was fantastic. So I've been practicing midwifery for the past 20 years now.
Wow.
And worked my way up the ranks, and I administrated a large women's health service, and eventually went back and continued my education. And now I focus my research on women's health issues and things that impact, especially for obstetrical critical care and nursing workforce issues, and of course my writing. It's my favorite thing to do.
I think that's awesome. You also have like 2 websites that you focus on midwifery, as well as the other aspect is you focus on teens too.
I do. My goal was I wanted to create a platform for women to go to. There's so much information that's out on the internet some is good, but a lot is just bad. And a lot of it is just written by people from their own voice and their own experience, which is great for them, but it's not necessarily vetted in any kind of science or any kind of evidence-based practice. So there are people who may follow advice that's wrong. So at least I know with what I put out, my stuff has been vetted through research. You know, thankfully having a doctorate lets me really vet the research well and kind of siphon out what's good and what's bad. So I have my own website called Prenatal Possibilities, hence where the book came from. It's where I first started posting my recipes to share with everybody else outside of my patients and outside of the women that I interacted with. So that took off very well, and it's been an easier platform for people to access, whether through social media or on their own or through Google search, etc. So trying to give it that sort of platform to create this community of informed women.
I appreciate it. I think a lot of people don't realize that America actually has one of the highest rates of maternal death and maternal health care issues. And we're like such an advanced country, but there's other countries where women are having babies literally like while they're out working in the field or something, and they're doing fine, they're healthy, their baby's healthy, and we're still so in the Stone Ages. So having someone that's so invested in our health, in our care, and especially a man, that means a lot. That means a lot. So I truly appreciate you, and I applaud what you're doing, and I applaud you being a champion in the field. How did you even get this interest in nursing?
You know, I was very fortunate. My mother's a nurse, and I was raised my entire life watching Mom go to work, and just hearing her stories and being enamored by that aspect of taking care of somebody. And the one thing my mother always taught me was, she said that the being able to take care of the sick or the dying or the birthing was a privilege. And it was something she held sacred way up till she retired, and
Wow.
gave her all and stuff. And I valued that, and I admired that in her, which is why when I was in high school, this was going to be my path. I knew medicine wasn't for me, but nursing wasn't. Two distinct sciences, and then midwifery is the second science that's in there as well. That was just, that's where my path became, clear. And I found out later, which is ironic, everyone looks at their ancestry, I'm actually the great-grandson of a midwife. And I didn't know that until finding out that
DNA.
in Ireland that she was there, and seeing clearly that she was listed as a midwife. And I said, then I'm definitely on a path. And
Wow.
I have cousins, my cousin's children, her daughter is becoming a nurse. So the
Wow.
lineage is going to continue in our family. So that's fantastic.
Generational healers.
Yeah.
That's who they are. Generational healers. That's really cool. Hey everyone, it's Sam Law of the That Sam Law Show, and I just want to welcome a very special person, our sponsor, John Bell of the Bell Law Group. John Bell, tell us about the Bell Law Group.
So we're a law firm in Syosset, Long Island, and we focus on employment law and personal injury law. The reason we focus on that is basically to fight for people in need. That's the reason why I became a lawyer, and that has been the mission of the Bell Law Group since I started it 20 years ago. Started out as a law office of Jonathan Bell, but then when it became more than just me, we decided to change the name, change the logo and branding to the Bell Law Group, and we've been out there ever since.
Great. So John Bell, if anyone needs your services, how can they reach you?
855 John Bell, JONBELL, or on our website, belllg.com.
Thank you. As a man in this field, I know one of the things that you're passionate about is really opening up that world to other men and advocating for them to be able to work in the field, get jobs, not be discriminated against. What's that been like, and can you share some of your challenges and opportunities that you've found?
Right. I was fortunate. I think to work in women's healthcare, there's room for everybody. There's a room for that special kind of person, and I think that's where you have to have the ability to cry, be open, laugh, touch, hold.
Talk about it.
And not every man is comfortable with that, and that's okay. There's a place for everybody, but there's a lot of men that have a degree of empathy.
Yes.
And sympathy, because let's face it, I will never be in your shoes. I will never be pregnant. I will never go through what you've gone through. While that's great from the physical aspect, but I also can appreciate what you go through as a mother.
Thank you.
And I appreciate what you do as a woman. And you cannot see a baby be born, and you cannot live that experience or share that journey with another woman and not be touched by it. And the minute you do, it's almost like that contact high, like you want it again. And the fact that you see this life be born, and then you look at what a woman can do, and then all of a sudden you realize that a woman is the link between the past and the future.
That's so true.
Without you, we don't have a future. So how I hold women in such a reverence, and if you're a man or a male nurse, whatever, who feels that way, then obstetrics is a place for you, or any of the other areas of obstetrics, whether it be the nursery, the NICU, mother, baby, any of those areas, even maybe midwifery. If you can look through that lens and see women in that light, then that's a place for you. But again, it's not for everybody, but there are some who do feel that way and should be encouraged to go that route.
That was beautiful. I'm trying not to tear up.
It's the truth.
We don't, as a mom, I think sometimes we're so overlooked, I think that I don't think we're always appreciated. So to have someone that's been there at that moment when we become, I feel like you're a mom while you're carrying the baby, but once that baby enters into the universe and it's like, here, little person, that's when you're fully in the role. There's no turning back, and that's the beauty. But I don't even think that we feel that appreciation enough. Like, we hear about Mother's Day, it's once a year, but whether you celebrate it or not, you're a mother 24/7. There's no going back. And just to hear that, that really was touching. I appreciate that.
And I think part of where the genesis of my book came from is because mothers put themselves back. They're always, their families are first, their kids are first, they're second. And when pregnancy happens, she's trying to put herself first, but also it's always, what am I doing for the baby?
Right.
You know, what everything I eat, everything I drink, anything I inhale, wherever I go is what's this doing for the baby?
That's a fact.
So coming through this is like everything that women want to do is they want to do the right thing. And one of the right things is they want to eat properly. And they think they are, and most women do. I mean, this country you mentioned has a lot of problems, but for the most part, women try.
Yeah.
But a lot of women, especially in this generation, don't know how to cook, or
That's a fact.
or it's too daunting,
It's
and it's too
true.
much of a topic that they're not at ease with, or maybe their mothers weren't a great cook, or they weren't raised in a family where that kind of a meal and meal preparation or family eating at a family table wasn't part of it. It doesn't have to be, but when and some women are by themselves.
Right.
So they may not have a partner, and
That's
they may not
true.
have somebody.
My first two, I honestly didn't have, like, I had a male counterpart, but not like I have now, where I feel like I have like a partner, I have somebody alongside. You know, and one of the things I want to touch upon is, when you talked about family dinner, right? And how like our society, some people have it, some people don't. Some people come from working families. Mom works day, dad works night, whatever it is. They don't have a meal around the table. We do get to have a meal around the table pretty often. I mean, we sit in front of the TV. We're those kind of people. But we do get to have meals together. I can't lie, making the recipe that I did last night, the overnight oats, it was kind of nice to just make breakfast for myself.
Yep.
It was like, oh, this is just for me, just the perfect amount for me. I mean, I did share a little teensy bit because I wanted him to see how delicious it was, but it was just nice to have something to indulge in for myself that I knew was good for me.
Right. And my plan was that, you know, I learned to cook by watching my family. And I learned, I was fortunate that I had a very large extended family, and I came from great aunts who could cook. And, you know, my dad used to cook with me, and it was fun because it was a Sunday thing that we would do. So the kitchen is a central part of any home. And
Right.
if you go to any party, people are always in the kitchen.
Yes.
It's like, why don't decorate your house? Because everybody's going to be sitting in your kitchen.
Pretty much.
And it's the place where some of the best conversations have happened. And it was funny because 2 generations ago, watching my family, the women were always in the kitchen. They'd have parties in the summer, and the women were sweating and cooking in the kitchen while the men were outside. But the conversations that happened in the kitchen, where women talked to other women about their problems, things they would not discuss anyplace
Right.
else. And, you know, physical symptoms and things like that. That's where I first learned about menopause.
Wow.
Because I watched the aunts talk about the change. And,
The
you know, they were
change.
asking each other and giving each other advice, and that was the
Right.
safe space. So as the generation came, like, the kitchen's my safe space. That's where I relax, and that's where I feel at home. And when I cook, I'm creating something for my family, and I'm creating something for my guests or something. And, you know, dinner is always got to get dinner on the table. Food's a little stressful, but, you know, to get the opportunity to bake is a treat, and it's
It
like
is.
there's no time pressure.
Right.
So, you know, the meals, you can do it together, but I know that that's kind of like a little gift I can give somebody. I can give you a good meal. I can give you some sustenance. I can give you nutrition.
Right.
And then I give you a treat.
Give them some of that rice pudding, banana bread.
Yep.
There's so many good recipes in this book. I'm like, oh snap. My boyfriend's not gonna complain because now I got new recipes to cook. So that's gonna bring some peace in my household. But you're right. And you're talking about just the culture of the kitchen. I don't think we think about that too often. You know, I'm African American, Hispanic, and Italian. And I think that no matter which way I turned, I was gonna be one of those people that learned from my parents. I cooked with my dad as well. My mom was not the main cook. And just like I learned from my parents, like in my grandma especially, like in the kitchen. That's where she sat. That's where I spent the most time with my grandma, and hearing like the women talk. You're absolutely right. That is a powerful way to pass on generational knowledge.
Right. And, you know, I took a leap using this title. And I know I'm going to turn people off because they're going to say, well, I'm not pregnant. I can't do this. But the idea is that if you during your pregnancy, eat healthy. And like you said, and I appreciate that you said these are delicious and these are easy and these are good. Well, maybe you'll say, let's make that again. And let's eat this after. And then you can feed your children
Right.
my meals. There's nothing special in here that's only unique for pregnant women. It's health is health.
Right.
And nourishing, nutritious food is for anybody.
Right.
And if you can make batches of it and have leftovers, or you can have something to take for lunch, the kids can eat this too. And, there's something for everybody in here. So I wanted to emphasize that fact that, men can eat with this.
Right.
And I was surprised that a lot of my followers are people who exercise and are bodybuilders.
I'm not surprised
looking
by
for
that
the protein.
at all.
And I never even thought of them in the beginning. And I was like, again, creating that community of people through the lens of the pregnant woman. And again, how uniting are women, that they are bringing people together, even in cyberspace, to come together through pregnancy.
That's a fact. It's one of the things that came to mind while you were just discussing that is, even if after I might want to have another child, or mom, dad, they want to have another child, you're getting your health in order. So you're setting yourself up for that optimal fertility in the family, just for your legacy. Like it's a legacy building block. I don't think people realize how much goes into that. In bodybuilding, a lot of what makes a bodybuilder so great and so powerful and increases their strength and their muscle is a lot of the hormones that you need are tied into what women need for pregnancy. So
Absolutely.
I could totally see them making that shift, like, oh, this book is the book. I see that. So me and my partner were discussing getting a midwife, getting a doula, and he was just like so lost with all the healthcare options. I was a little lost. How do I explain what the benefits are of midwifery?
Right. So midwifery and obstetrics go hand in hand. We focus on the same thing, but there is a place where midwifery stops, and obstetrics has to take over. But so a midwife is your healthcare practitioner. So your midwife can see you across your lifespan. We can take care of teenagers. We can take care of women. We take care of elderly women. We are primary care.
Okay.
So you can come and see us for your annual visit. We can manage your blood pressure. We can manage your diabetes. We can take care of your thyroid problem. So across the lifespan, they're there. During pregnancy, if a complication develops, whether prenatal or intrapartum, we then elevate it up a step and we go and we consult with our physician. We co-manage. So in other words, the physician may oversee and suggest and supervise, but we can still continue our labor support. We can continue our care. We can still be there for delivery. So we don't relinquish your care. That relationship is solid. The minute you join your midwife, you're with him or her for however long you go. We value that relationship, and that's why one of the mantras of the midwives is listen to women, and midwife means with woman.
Oh, wow.
So that relationship is there. So we know when to bring in help, we know when to get help, and we know to be the help. So the doula is somebody who works alongside us.
Okay.
The doula is your support person. The doula is a beautiful individual who does nothing but support you, encourage you, take care of you, and make the birth process, the laboring process, the postpartum time easier. They are a wealth of knowledge. They are people who bring experience. They bring you tips. They bring you education. They help you through things you don't know. They're your support, your person right next to you that's there. So as midwives, we know the same maneuvers and the same labor support, but the doula stays by your side. The doula is with you for all that whole period. And again, if you're somebody who's extremely anxious about your birth, you're uncertain how it goes, you're not a person who's into discomfort.
Right.
A doula is going to help you through all this stuff and bring a cadre of tips and tricks to help you through that.
Okay. I just learned so much right now, and you would think I would know, being a mom for 20 years
I highly
now.
recommend doulas. They're definitely, there's not enough of them.
Right.
And they're not as welcomed, unfortunately, into the obstetric world because we're so focused on technology and intervention and science and medication. So a lot of the organizations locally use them, which is great. They really, we need more of them, and they come through so much education. They don't just sign up and say I'm a doula. They go through significant training and clinical hours and stuff. Midwives, we have a lot of clinical hours as well, but in a different focus.
Right.
But doulas have hands-on hours and hours of experience with women.
Okay.
And families. So postpartum, they're great for breastfeeding support.
Really?
Sure, they help you with the baby. They're a wealth of knowledge.
Okay. Listen,
Shout
young
out to my
people,
doulas.
shout out to the doulas out there, young people. If you're interested in healthcare, you're interested in the first steps of the life journey, baby world, motherhood, all that. That's a field you could get into. So do your research and look into it. See if that's something you'd like to get into, because he said we need more. And I love it when doors are open and we need more. So in 2022, you were inducted as a fellow in the American College of Nurse Midwives. Could you tell us about this achievement and its significance in your career?
Right. That was a milestone for me. And the American College of Nurse Midwives is my professional organization, my governing body. And that's where our policies are made. That's where our legislation comes from. That's where our advocacy comes from. So it's my powerhouse of midwives. So to have my accomplishments that I've done in midwifery be recognized and acknowledged by my peers, the sister midwives who have led the way for all of us, who made midwifery what it is today, then said, you're one of us, you're a fellow, we recognize you as that mover and shaker and, you know, important resource person to people. That was an honor I did not expect, and I was thrilled. That's like a crowning achievement of your career to say, you know what, you did it.
Yeah, that's a big jewel. That is a big jewel. It is such a lovely feeling to be recognized, especially by your peers who work as hard as you, and that's such a special moment. You just have so many titles. I was looking you up on social media, and I was like, look at all these letters. He's got the whole alphabet there. But I mean, one of the things that I learned in getting my letters is that is what really says to the public, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He's well researched. He's got the experience, and you know, you getting that recognition, that's amazing. It really is. So what, I know you talk about you talked about your journey, you talked about life with your family, just the lineage that you have of really just being like in healthcare, cooking, like you put all that together and you created this book. What made you say, you know what, I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna team up with you teamed up with a nutritionist for this, I read in the forward.
So my nutritionist took all the photos, and what I did was,
wow.
She was great, and Laura she was pregnant at the time, and I needed a food photographer, and I found her, and she said, you know, I'm a registered dietitian. So she made every recipe in this book and photographed them.
What?
And yes, and she it was kind of like a second check to everything.
Yeah, she's all in.
And she was, and that's why I asked her to write the foreword in the book.
Nice.
And you know, Laura Rembold is her name, and she was phenomenal. But to have that second layer of checking, and you know, she kind of gave me suggestions and stuff too. Like, you know, I tweaked the recipe this way. And I think that's another point to bring out, was that any one of these can be customized. If you don't like an ingredient, like I'm not a proponent of spicy food for pregnant women. I'm not a fan of like peppers for pregnant women. My experience has taught me that it's not a good combination. Right. But some cultures like it. If that's your thing, go for it. Or some people prefer sweeter food. Some people prefer like less salty. You can customize this anyway. And Laura helped me get that sort of like idea of what you could do. But I appreciated that every one of these she cooked and she posed it and did the food styling. She did a good job with the photos.
She really did.
So I was happy to have her on board for
That's cool. I was wondering if they were like stock images or like they were like someone actually made them. That's really cool that you dove into that. I didn't even get to ask you that. But one of the things I noticed in the book is that you do give little alternative tips. Like if you want to try this, or you can use skim milk, or you can use almond milk. Like I personally like that, because sometimes you're in the kitchen and you're like, all right, I need to make something right now, but I don't have this, I don't have that. And you kind of say, well, you might be able to use this, you can use that, and it'll still be flavorful. I truly, truly appreciate that. So what is one of your favorite recipes for the busy mom like myself? Like I'm always doing 1,000,001 things. Right. What is one of your favorite recipes for us? You
know, and this is weird. My favorite season is summer. And you know,
me too.
And especially out here on Long Island, I spent many summers out here, and it was, you know, we have horrendous winters, and it's like you look forward to like that first glimmer of when weather is good.
Oh yeah.
But The summer is the time when people cook the least because, oh, it's too hot, nobody wants to shop. And
That's true.
you can probably appreciate this. Being pregnant in the summer is a unique experience. So I love if you look on the cover, I love the confetti shrimp tacos. It's one dish, it's a couple of ingredients, it pops with color. You probably have these ingredients, and if you buy them once, you'll have them for leftovers.
That's true.
And you can make it in one dish, and it's sweet, heat, it's got seasoning, it's got the right amount of nutrition that you need. You can eat it cold, you can eat it hot, and it's great for a party, it's great for dinner, it's great for lunch. That one there is why I put on the cover. It was like probably one of my first things that I made, and it's one of those that you cannot screw up.
Okay.
It's got, and probably the hardest part is the mango, but you can always get it frozen.
That's true.
If you don't know how to pick one, but everything is available in the grocery store.
Okay.
And inexpensive ingredients. I mean, tortillas are cheap and they come in a bag, so you get 25 of them in a bag.
You do, and there's so many varieties for your diet type too.
Exactly.
Okay, that's gonna be next. That's what's gonna be next tomorrow. That's what we're gonna cook. So given your diverse background in nursing and healthcare, what advice would you offer to an aspiring healthcare professional?
Go with your eyes open.
Oh.
It's, the pandemic changed us a lot. And the nursing I did before the pandemic is not what I do now.
Wow.
And, the pandemic was a time that, we were scared.
Right.
And we still showed up. And we had to. There was no way not to. Yes, people were dying, but people were being born. And you couldn't just turn it off because of your own fear. I didn't go into this to not be there to help. And through my career, there's been major life events. We've had wars. We had 9/11. Mm-hmm. We showed up. We had Hurricane Sandy. We showed up. We had to.
You had versatility in those moments.
Right. And so in healthcare now, there's a lot out there. Like, I never thought that there would be a COVID-19. I mean, we had every year there was something. We had SARS. We had swine flu. We had bird flu. We were prepared. We had Ebola, but Ebola never made it to our shores locally. Right. COVID-19 did.
That's a fact.
And COVID-19 knocked on all of our doors and got into our homes. And
we all had it here, I think.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
So something that prominent came into our houses. Like, we always try, at home, we learn in nursing to wash your hands and wear gloves and do the stuff, to not bring anything to the patient, but also not to bring it home.
Right.
And a lot of us brought COVID home.
We did.
So, there could be another COVID, may there not be, but go into it with your eyes open, like, prepare yourself. It's a great job, but, healthcare is changing every single day.
That's true.
There's a lot of technology, so you cannot be, you want to be as hands-on and touchy-feely as you want to be, but technology and you are going to be partnered forever.
Right.
We are going to constantly need computers. AI is coming in now. And a lot of people are leaving the hospital, and that nursing and healthcare doesn't necessarily happen in a hospital.
Right.
There are other settings, and we forget about long-term care, rehab, outpatient centers. There's plenty, the home.
Right.
There's plenty of places where healthcare can happen, and there's a lot of diversity.
That is so true.
If you go and you start getting burnt out or fried, which is likely to happen because it's frustrating in healthcare lately, go somewhere else. There's other avenues to go to.
Don't give up.
Don't. You can reinvent yourself every couple of years, and schools are there. That's what they're there for. There's a way to keep your career active, and that keeps your contribution to people active.
Right.
You want to be vested in what you do, and can be very disheartening and disillusioning, but give it time and give it a chance.
Okay, thank you. As a young person who recently ventured into the healthcare professions, I mean, I have my master's in mental health counseling, so I've been in healthcare since 2016. But I recently started a home healthcare agency, and I didn't think that was something I was ever gonna do. And like you said, pivot, learn something new. Honestly, my boyfriend's a big part of how I got there. Just someone saying, hey, this is something you can do. This fits your degree. All is not lost.
Right.
That just kind of confirms that I'm on the right path, and I truly appreciate that. So I always ask one fun question before we go. We're going to go off topic. We're going to go a little away from the book. Unless it's in the book, what's your favorite cheat meal?
Oh, okay. I follow a very strict diet for myself because I am a vegetarian.
Okay.
And vegetables are boring. I try to make them not boring. So after a while, you get tired of crunch and you get tired of greens. So I am a big fan of chocolate. And I'm one of the people where, you'd say if you could eat anything at your last week of life, I'm getting that jar of peanut butter, not the fat-free kind or anything. I'm getting the good peanut butter. I'm getting a spoon, and I'm going to eat peanut butter, and I'm probably going to have chocolate or maybe even Reese's peanut butter cups.
That's what I was going to ask. That's my favorite.
Throw some M&Ms in there. I'm going to town. I'm definitely a fan of chocolate. It has its place.
It does. It's funny as a woman, and you'll probably be able to back me up on this. One of my biggest cravings during my time of the month is chocolate. And I hear that's because it has magnesium in it that's really good for you.
Absolutely.
So it kind of helps with like cramps and things of that nature. But my body is like, I want chocolate, I want peanut butter that's salty and sweet.
Yeah.
That's what I want, so I go and I pick up the Reese's like it's nobody's business. But thank you for sharing that with us. We want to see all about you and how you think. So chocolate, that's a fun one. So what can we expect from you in the future?
So I continue to write, and I've written other books, and my next book is coming out next year, kind of along the same vein, not so much with food. I wrote a book about complementary alternative medicine. It's coming out on Bloomsbury Press.
Okay.
And it's about basically your questions answered. So it's a format where I take all the different modalities of CAM, and it's the mnemonic of complementary alternative medicine, sort of research them again, bringing that evidence-based practice there. So what is it? Where did it come from? What does the science say? Does it work? Is it dangerous? What do you need to know before going in there?
Okay.
And there's some modalities that the literature is not strong on, but there's others that are.
Okay.
And it ties well into pregnancy. So yoga, meditation is huge. Reflexology, massage. There's plenty of things that cross into my world of maternity, into women's health. So this book was a good venue and an avenue for me to get into for this, and it's coming out next. But I'm going to take this next, and what I'm loving about this is meeting women and learning their experiences. And what I'm appreciating more now is culture. And I'm learning that background, how, you talked about where you come from and what's influenced you. Food is part of every one of those things you mentioned. And there's different definitions of culture now. It's not just being Irish or Italian.
Right.
Black culture is huge. Latin culture is huge. And every one of them has created little subdivisions within themselves, and the next generation has. So I see my book becoming now like an international focus. Like, what do people do in other parts of the world? Because there's pregnancy all over the world.
Sure is.
How do they manage morning sickness? How do they manage cramps? How do they manage pain?
Their
What are the
story
rest?
might help my story.
Exactly. And again, that community of informed women, that community of informed families, and bringing that bigger piece out is where this is going to move to. So I need to take my message out more and have any of these interactions to meet women like yourselves, your audience, people who listen and will follow, and maybe I can be that resource for people to move it through.
You are. It's not a maybe. You are. When you release that book, please come back. We'd be excited to share it. I'm excited to dig in, share my story with you if you'd like. And where can my audience find you if they want to stay in touch or just keep following you on your journey?
Right. So I definitely live on social media.
Okay.
So on my Facebook page, I am Paul Quinn on Facebook, and I'm Dr. Paul Quinn on Instagram.
Okay.
I also have my Prenatal Possibilities, which is www.prenatalpossibilities.com. My book is available on all major booksellers. You can Google it. It's Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble. Any of those sites are available for that. So I look forward to it. And again, I'm great for questions and stuff, and whatever I can't answer. I have resources behind me. I come packed with midwives and physicians and other people who can help. And women, just women who live their experience, women who can help. So gathering that together is how I go through life each day.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the That Sam Law Show. We truly appreciate you. We appreciate all that you do. We appreciate the doors that you're opening. And I'm excited to watch you glow and grow.
Thanks so much. And again, good luck to you, and
Thank
good
you.
luck to your viewers and stuff. And again, it's a great journey, and thank you to the mothers out there.
Thank you.